There are unsolved cases all across the country that go decades without closure. And there's one such case that our Matt Stell has spent the last several months digging into. Matt joins us now to tell us what he found. Matt?
Yeah, Terry, if you take a brief moment to Google the name Tammy Cooper or just search it on Reddit, you'll see plenty of theories, but mostly people just trying to make sense of why someone would kill a single mother and her 3 innocent children. But here's the thing, it doesn't make sense, and it never will. Believe it or not, it's been 2 decades since those murders happened. And we sat down with the detective and the prosecutor who were both assigned to the case to try to figure out why this one has just been so hard to crack.
These were 3 children and a mom that were killed in their home. They weren't out somewhere causing trouble or anything like that.
20 years later, and still considered one of the most gruesome crimes in all of Lubbock's history.
I was in my office there at the PD that morning. It was a Monday morning. And they came in and told me we had a homicide call out over on MLK. And then somebody came back in and said, it's gonna be a multiple. When I got there, I noticed a couple of people had this strange look on their face, and then one of the guys came out. He said, this is really bad. He said, there's 3 children and a mom in there.
The reporting party, a friend of the family, showed up at the apartment to pick up the children, take them to school. The door was slightly ajar. He walked in and discovered the bodies of a Jasmine Mahogany Allen, black female, 11 years of age, a Cadice Allen, black male, 9 years of age, and a Kashem Allen, 9 years of age, black male as well.
Along with the body of their mother, 45-year-old Tammy Cooper.
I've seen, like I said, bad crime scenes, but I'd never seen anything like this before. It was like walking through a nightmare.
In my mind, I can go back and I can see those images like it was yesterday. And so I certainly remember going to the scene and being, briefed on what had happened. Didn't really prepare you for what you saw inside.
Even back then, I was concerned about other people that we were going to have coming in, that were going to have to see that, because one of the bad things about this kind of business is you cannot unsee those things. You're going to live with them.
Police say inside that East Lubbock apartment at 512 North MLK, the family had all been brutally beaten and stabbed, and it appeared that Tammy tried her best to fight off the attacker.
You could tell that a significant struggle had taken place. There was a lot of things that had been disrupted within the kitchen area, within the living room area, some other areas in the house. Yeah, she fought very valiantly, I think, for her life and for her kids' lives.
Of course, there's always an interest in the people that live nearby, neighbors, I know we canvassed that whole complex.
Just this one was like some dude was there last night or something. I don't know, that's all. I don't even know the woman. No, I didn't hear nothing last night. And I was up till like 3 o'clock. I didn't hear no gunshots or nothing. I don't know. What could have happened?
Jasmine, Cadice, and Kashem.
Kashem? How old were they?
9 and 11.
No, I didn't know them.
From the investigation, we kind of figured she kind of kept to herself a lot, her and her kids. She didn't have a big social network in Lubbock.
Police say just 6 months before, Tammy had packed up and moved the family from Dallas, where she had spent most of her life.
Tammy Cooper grew up right here in this South Dallas neighborhood. Family members say at the time of her murder, she still had many connections to this area.
I could always depend on Tammy, when I couldn't depend on anybody else. If she had a car, she'd come get me if I was stranded, If I got into a fight and it was, overwhelming odds, she always had my back, It was nothing that I wouldn't do for them kids or I wouldn't do for her. Somebody had to act a fool and become a selfish, self-centered individual and do something to 3 children and a mother just because of jealousy rejection or whatever.
So could it have been a deranged ex-boyfriend or someone just wanting revenge? Well, with not much to work with, the biggest lead Lubbock police had was a phone call between Tammy and a friend on the night of October 24th.
She was having this conversation with her friend Tammy Cooper, and somebody was banging on the door. And that's really how she described it, banging on the door, not just a knock, but a banging. And from what this person told us, she felt like one of the children let the person in, whoever was banging on the door. She asked Tammy Cooper who it was, and in that conversation, Tammy Cooper told her, you don't know him, he's not from here, he's a black man, and his name is Butch. She also told us Tammy was never expressed any fear or concern about whoever that person was, about the person coming in. I would think that if she would have been concerned or feared for her safety or the safety of her kids, she would have told her friend, call the police, help me, get over here, something, and her friend said she never said anything like that.
It's rare that you went into a crime scene and you knew what the murderer's name was. And there's no question in my mind that this Butch is the murderer.
At that point, the focus of the investigation turns back to North Texas, with detectives believing there was a pretty good chance their suspect was somewhere in the Metroplex.
We came into contact with a lot of people from the Dallas area that gave us leads on, and not everybody was named Butch or called Butch. Butch could have been a nickname or whatever.
Tammy's friend told police that she also heard Tammy on the phone ask Butch, quote, "How did you find me?" But to this date, Martinez hasn't ruled out the possibility that Butch could have very much been from Lubbock.
It could mean he's not from that side of town. Some people would refer to, he's not from here, he's from the west side or south side or whatever.
But after countless interviews and more than a dozen trips to Dallas, still no smoking gun.
I think there's some luck involved, that somebody didn't see him, somebody hasn't figured out who it is. For all we know, that guy may be dead himself.
In all my years in working homicide, there's cases that get solved within a day, even whodunits, where we don't have much to go on. Sometimes in a few days, 7 days, whatever, they get solved. And some take years.
Well, what about DNA evidence? Both Powell and Martinez say plenty of evidence from the apartment had been tested, even with help from the DPS crime lab. But 2 decades later, nothing has pointed police to a specific suspect.
Even since 2004, DNA, the capabilities of DNA have just progressed, significantly. And so there's always hope that you can retest something, find something. I know there's been things that have been reviewed again. Other detectives have picked up the case.
As of now, whoever killed Jasmine, Cadiz, Kashim, and Tammy remains a mystery. The investigation into their murders has stretched from California to Houston, but finding Butch just keeps coming up empty.
And that's why I think it's so important, and I appreciate you guys bringing it to the forefront again, because it gets a new set of eyes and a new set of ears that people are looking and go, maybe I do remember something about that now that I didn't think was significant at the time, but maybe it is now.
And if they get the right information, the right tip, they have the right people to solve this case.
It's a case that still keeps Matt Powell and Ray Martinez up at night, still thinking about what could have been of Jasmine and the twin boys and their mother, who would be 65 this year. But they're both still hopeful that what happened at 512 North MLK will one day be solved.
The good Lord loves justice. Whoever did it's going to get their justice. I believe in that 100%. I just want him to get some earthly justice before he gets some godly justice.
Now, we do want to emphasize that the father of Tammy's 3 children is not a suspect in this case and fully cooperated with detectives during that investigation. His twin sons would have turned 10 that following Friday. On the anniversary of the Cooper family murders, the Lubbock Police Department says in part, quote, anyone with information regarding this case should call Crime Line at 806-741-1000. Cases such as this are never closed at the Lubbock Police Department. We're hopeful that someone will come forward with any bit of information that could give the family closure and justice.